Jonathan just dropped a bombshell. In a letter to John, he's exposing the dark, behind-the-scenes drama at Daystar like never before, and it's worse than you could ever imagine, revealing a tense, deeply personal conflict with his mother, Joni, and her new husband, Doug. From threats of being kicked out of Daystar to a powerful display of spiritual manipulation, Jonathan shares how his family has been torn apart by one shocking decision after another. One of the most jaw-dropping moments, Joni took it too far, claiming that if Marcus Lamb, her late husband, had been alive, he would have kicked Jonathan's butt for daring to challenge her. But that's not where the drama ends. Jonathan also details an incredibly painful moment, one that no family should ever have to experience. Joni, in a twisted attempt to justify her actions, cruelly brought up the trauma of Jonathan and Susie's daughter being SA, and she blames Susie, the grieving mother, for trying to destroy her family over it. It's a chilling moment that exposes how far Joni is willing to go to protect her own agenda. But there's more. Jonathan describes a harrowing scene where he and Susie were ambushed and verbally attacked for standing by their convictions. Instead of supporting their decision, Joni and her allies mocked them, threatened their careers, and even told them they'd be fired for not going along with their demands. This letter is packed with revelations you won't believe. As Jonathan peels back the layers of betrayal and manipulation, one question lingers. How deep does this go? And can Daystar ever be the same again?
Hi, John. Thank you for your letter. I find the timing of this email to be curious since we have a board meeting scheduled for tomorrow. In your email, you painted a very vague picture, so allow me to fill it in for you. Since before Joni even married Doug, she has been threatening to throw us all out of Daystar if we didn't fully support her marriage. We have the recording where she said this, and Doug laughs, saying he wouldn't allow her to do that. In that meeting, Susie and I both clearly told Joni and Doug that they have the free will to get married, but we stand on Matthew 19:9, and that since Doug's ex-wife Lisa had not cheated on him, getting remarried would be considered adultery. So we asked that they honor our stance. To show support for my mother in her decision, we attended her wedding because we love her. The decision is between her and God. A month after her wedding, she walked out the threats she had been making the whole year prior. On Ministry Now, my wife and I said we were not going to read a card because it went against our convictions when we kindly asked for it to be switched out for another viewer comment. However, Joni told the producer that we could read that or nothing, so we had no other option but to choose nothing. Instead of honoring our request, which we have spoken since day one, which is not to let her marriage interfere with our jobs, we were taken to her office where Joni ambushed us with a meeting with Jimmy Evans, where we were verbally abused, mocked, threatened, and told we'd be forced to do something which violated our consciences. Jimmy told us that we had no room to follow our convictions or consciences since Joni was the voice of God at Daystar. To taunt Susie, Joni even brought up the most painful thing in our lives, the molestation of our 5-year-old and another event that occurred on our family vacation a year prior in 2021. She blamed Susie, the grieving mother of the victim, for trying to destroy our family.
Can you imagine standing up for what you believe in, just trying to do what's right, only to be threatened for it? That's exactly what Jonathan and Susie Lamb faced. They stood by Matthew 19:9, stating that Doug's marriage to Joni wasn't biblical because there was no adultery involved in Doug's divorce from Lisa. But instead of listening, Joni and Doug didn't just reject their stance, they retaliated. The couple didn't just threaten to fire them for holding firm to their beliefs. Joni went a step further, accusing Susie of using her own daughter's SA allegations to destroy their family. It's almost hard to believe that standing for biblical truth could lead to such manipulation and cruelty. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, it does. In the next shocking recording, Joni indirectly dismisses Susie's claim against a family member, Pete. Instead of showing concern or seeking the truth, she immediately shuts it down, insisting that Pete is innocent without even addressing the details. No investigation, no accountability, just a swift denial, as if the real issue isn't what happened, but the fact that Susie dared to speak up.
She was completely convinced. And by the way, I didn't tell Doug this story. I think you said that I did, but I haven't told him everything.
Wait, what?
So
I didn't say you told Doug that.
There was an instance where
I never said you told Doug that.
There was an issue with and I'm not going to tell you that because I know they wouldn't want me to share it. But Susie was completely convinced, and Jonathan was completely convinced that was doing something that he absolutely was innocent of. And it was a terrible thing that happened in our family.
This right here, this is where everything becomes crystal clear. The moment Jonathan and Susie refused to stay silent, they were branded as the enemy. Not because they were lying, not because they were in the wrong, but because they wouldn't just let it go, because they dared to stand for what was right.
I must add that when we returned from the family vacation, Susie and I were told to submit and never talk about this again, and we did. We never talked about it. This hasn't been brought up since that day in that meeting with you and Jimmy. When Susie didn't react to this, she was called prideful. She was even called evil in the meeting with a host of other names. As you know, we have this evidence. When Susie chose to stand by her convictions, Joni told her she was fired.
Think about what Jonathan is saying here. When they came back from that family vacation, they were given one simple rule: submit and never talk about this again. And they did. They stayed quiet. They tried to move on. But apparently, that wasn't enough. Because silence doesn't mean safety. Not in an environment like this. Susie was called prideful. She was called evil. And for what? For refusing to play along? For choosing her convictions over forced loyalty?
I can't go against my convictions in that, and I'm not challenging.
Don't come back then.
Okay.
You're gone. Okay. You're fired. If you can't read a nice comment about Doug, I don't want you here.
Yeah.
You won't do the green room. You won't do anything. Okay.
To be forced to read a comment praising Doug, a man who abused his wife, abandoned her, and divorced her. A man who has wrecked marriages with his twisted counsel, leaving countless couples in ruins. And let's not forget his absolutely pathetic, blasphemous teaching, claiming that Jesus died so we could have great sex. Seriously? And yet, refusing to praise this man was enough to get Susie fired?
I was then threatened for a long period of time by Joni and Jimmy to also read a card, or I would be fired next.
There has to be a change of heart. I have to see that, because if I don't see that, and if I know they don't respect and honor me, and they don't respect and honor him, he's been nothing but a blessing to me, an incredible husband the month that I've been married to him. He doesn't want to take over Daystar. I think really the fear here is not that he would interfere in Daystar. I think the fear is that somehow they think they're losing something by him coming. But that's a lie from the enemy. It's just not true.
Joni isn't just asking Jonathan and Susie to agree. She's demanding total submission. No questions, no concerns. Just fall in line. And if they don't? Well, according to her, they're believing a lie from the enemy. And then she takes it even further. She actually compares Jonathan to Doug's kids, saying at least they still respect him. But that's not all. She straight up says Jonathan and Susie treat her like shit. Seriously?
Shit.
Joni takes it to a whole new level. She actually says, if Marcus were alive today, he would kick Jonathan's butt.
I mean, I'm just telling you, it is so disrespectful. Marcus Lamb would kick Jonathan's butt if he was alive right now, in the way, and the things he's done, the things he said, the fact that he would care more about what people think and his reputation than honoring his mother. That's what he did. He'll have to live with that. But I'm just saying that I am drawing the line in the sand today. This will end.
Instead of taking responsibility for her own actions, Joni flips the script and blames Jonathan. For what? For refusing to bow down to Doug? For not blindly submitting to this twisted demand? She's furious because he won't praise a man who divorced his wife, abused her, and destroyed countless marriages with his reckless counseling.
And Doug Wise has been nothing but an incredible blessing to me. I'm as happy as I have ever been in my life. That may be hard for you to hear.
You're happier now than you've ever been at Dad?
I am happier now than I've ever been.
Even happier than we were with Dad?
I loved your dad with all my heart. Okay? They're two different men. I'm just saying, I would think that you would be happy.
No, but are you saying that you're happier now with Doug than you ever were with Dad?
Jonathan.
No, I'm just saying. I was asking.
Joni proudly claims she's happier than ever, even more than when she was with Marcus. But happy in what? A marriage that's completely unbiblical? A relationship built on control and manipulation? And let's not forget, the Bible is clear. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. So what do you think about this whole situation? If Marcus were alive today, what do you think his response would be to Jonathan? Let me know in the comments.